Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Federalist Press. This is our second live stream. We are coming to you with a bunch of cool stuff right now. Let's get rid of that music. We've got a lot to cover this week. It's been an interesting week in North Carolina and on the federal level. So to get this started, I just want to thank God for allowing us the freedom in this country to say what we want with our rights and liberties. And we really appreciate that because I don't know about you, but I've been to 30 plus countries in this world, and a lot of them you can't say what you want to say. So that's what makes America so great, or part of it. And just we want to thank God for that because he's the one who gave us those rights. So moving into the show today, we are going to cover a lot of stuff. We've got Ted Budd to talk about, the Proud Boys in North Carolina, the drag events going on in North Carolina, Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes, Operation Bluebird, and the December 28th live stream we're doing to get rid of abortion here in North Carolina. So without further ado, welcome. If you haven't seen the show before, this is our second show for the Federalist Press live streams. We're trying to do these every week to get out information to anyone who's willing to listen in the state of North Carolina about conservative Christian values, about politics, about economics, about culture war, about everything that's concerning us in this state, and to really drive home the fact that if you live in North Carolina, it is imperative, especially if you are concerned, if you're a concerned citizen or a Christian or a conservative, that you pay attention, you pull your head out of the sand, you get in the fight, you get engaged, and you start doing things to secure our liberties and freedoms in the state of North Carolina. Without your contributions, without your efforts, without your time, your treasure, and your technique, North Carolina will fall away to Marxists, the communists, the liberal agenda. But we have to be those vanguards that stand in the way between all of this nonsense and our children, all of this nonsense and our money, all of this nonsense and our religious freedoms and our secular freedoms. So if you haven't already, get in the fight. And you can do that by listening in to the Federalist Press every Thursday, as well as reading our articles. We try to put out articles every single day on things that are going on at the national level and the state level. Me personally, my ideology is that I could care less what happens at the federal level right now. There's good things that are occurring, and we'll cover those. But the way that our country is going, and you don't have to take this from me, I'm sure just looking around, it's evident that the cold civil war is popping off. And the delineation between ideologies and theologies, if you're serving Christ or God, or if you're serving the government, has widened that divide. And that's where we're at right now is you have to pick a side. You got to get off the fence. That's the only way forward. You got to get off the fence and you got to get into the fight. If you want to get into the fight on the other side, so be it. I really wish you wouldn't, but if you do, best of luck to you. I know who I serve. I know what I'm capable of, and I know what my side is willing to do to protect the origination and foundation of this country and how it's going to stay that way moving forward if we have anything to do with it, which we do. So, speaking of actions, let's get right into what Ted Budd has done. I'm going to pull up some stuff that Ted Budd has been a part of recently. So he voted against the same-sex interracial marriage bill as passed by Congress. And this is great, Ted. Good job. Keep it up. Again, this bill, the way they word it, is all double speak. It's all meant to, pit those who love against those who are hostile or aggressive or or homophobic or transphobic or interracial phobic. I don't even know what the word for that is, but it's all BS. If you are a follower of Christ, if you're a conservative, we have already established the ability for interracial couples to marry. God doesn't see the race, he sees the human race. And it doesn't matter what you're doing in that particular aspect. The same-sex marriage is an abomination. Giving people legal rights to secularly justify and codify what God, going against what God has established, which is a man and a woman, is a step obviously in the wrong direction. It is part of the creep, the culture creep, the political creep, the theological creep that has infected our nation. And that is why we're seeing what we're seeing in our culture, in our politics, in our schools, in our, and now obviously in our bills and in the bedroom, because people are making that public in this particular fashion. So thank you, Ted, for voting against that. That's a great way to start your political career in the Senate. I know that you did it in the in the congressional side of the House, but you're about to flip over here soon, and that sets a good tone as to how we should be expecting you to represent us moving forward. So I really appreciate that. Let's get into some more of the local news. If you don't know by now, there was this big news splash about Moore County, Montgomery County, and the militias and right-wing extremists and transphobic individuals shooting up the power grids and power stations out there that caused some blackouts. Well, the first thing we want to talk about is, are you prepared for this type of BS? Because that's not the last time this is going to happen. In fact, I think it was either Zero Hedge or S2 Underground that talked about how there's been over 160 attacks on our power grid in the United States in 2022 alone. 160 attacks. You haven't heard about all of them in the news, but they're occurring. Who's doing that? My guess is it's not the Proud Boys. It's not the right-wing militias. It's not homophobes or transophobes. My guess is that it's actually the left. It's actually imported immigrants who they're paying to disrupt our services. It's people who are looking to false flag Christians and conservatives and the Proud Boys and everybody else, and normal everyday citizens who aren't crazy and worship the government as God. So be on the lookout for that. But that brings me to a really good caveat with preparedness: is, are you prepared? Are you prepared for your lights to go out for 3 days? And if you can't answer that question, if there's even a moment of hesitation, then you're not prepared. You haven't thought it out. Do you have a plan in place? Do you have generators? Do you have batteries? Do you have medicine? Do you have fuel? Do you have blankets and food? And do you have everything else that is required to sustain a 3 day, and if it is because people are doing nefarious things, a 3 day combat operation in your house? Are you able to turn your home into a FOB, a forward operating base in your community, and dig in and sustain that fight? Because this is how it starts. It's all creep. The word of the day is creep. Mission creep, political creep, theological creep. We're dealing with a bunch of creepers. And it's slow. It's slow and it's gradual and it's incremental. And before you know it, you're buying into this liberal crap. You're unprepared. You're whatever it is that the objective was to creep you in that direction. But being prepared in your home, do you have elderly? Do you have pets? Do you have people who require electricity? Are you, because of heating and cooling? We're going into the winter. We are in the winter. It gets cold. Right now, it's about 40 degrees where I'm at, and that's pretty cold. You could survive, but you ain't going to have fun. Are you prepared for those things? And again, if your answer is no, you need to spend some time actually preparing for those things, because this is going to happen to you. That adage of it's never going to happen to me, I don't have to worry about it, is BS, because it is happening to you. It will happen to you, and it is occurring in North Carolina. And if you are living in North Carolina, you are affected by this one way or another. So I urge everybody out there to get prepared for what is occurring and what is to come. And that means training. That means getting out there and shooting your firearms, training with your firearms, and not just at the range, but in your everyday life. Have you practiced in your home? Have you practiced in your car? Have you practiced your everyday carry? Have you thought or considered about your medical, your first aid? Do you have an IFAC? Do you have a car IFAC? Do you have a blowout bag for your house? Do you have medical supplies? Do you have extra things that you're going to need, ancillary, such as medications or potential medications like antibiotics? Do you have all of these things? Are you ready to actually weather the storm? And if the answer is no, you got work to do and you need to get to work. You get off the couch and get to work. You don't need to do everything at once. The elephant gets eaten one bite at a time. Start researching, start watching videos, start collecting this stuff, put it all together, make a plan, execute the plan, practice the plan, revise the plan, make it better. If anybody's out there listening or cares, you should Google a Marine Corps acronym called BAMSIS. BAMSIS is going to help you with that particular subject. So moving on to a couple of other pieces of news, or actually, let's go back to the Proud Boys in Sanford. So these drag queen story hour, or any other variation or deviation from drag plus X, is picked up at the cyclic rate. And as you have potentially heard from our first show and Hussein pointing out, this isn't something that they're doing and we're trying to combat. This is something that they're doing because they've already won in this particular regard. And these are victory laps of indoctrination and grooming behaviors and patterns. Okay? Every time they do a show and expose children to it, it's a victory lap. Case in point, the Proud Boys in Sanford, there is a really good Flickr, I believe. Yeah, Flickr link, and all of this is in the show notes, and the show notes will be available on all the platforms. And if not, just go to our website, thefederalistpress.com, and type in show notes and it'll take you here. But the camera guy, who I will name here real quickly, Anthony Kreider, he took these pictures, and I believe the intention was to use it for intel gathering operations, counterintelligence surveillance, as well as doxing, potentially, inventorying and doxing the Proud Boys here in North Carolina. And the same thing that occurred with our power stations in North Carolina. And by the way, the sheriffs in those counties put that rumor to bed, saying that this is not what's occurring, and it's not rogue conservatives or Republicans or Proud Boys that are shooting up places. They don't know what it is, or if they really don't, they're not telling us. And if they do, they're not telling us. But either way, it's not what is going around on social media. Again, propaganda being pushed, and we're going to get later into propaganda. But right now, this particular photo, this Flickr page has got a lot of photos, and it's got 100 photos and 10,000 views of the Proud Boys in Sanford when Mugger Hugger, or Hugger Mugger, or however it's said, in Sanford, North Carolina, hosted a drag queen story hour or get together for Halloween in October. And a bunch of these Proud Boys came up to protest it. And really, when you say the word protest, they're just making their presence known. In fact, they were extremely peaceful. And to the opposite of what social media has been pushing the narrative, which is that they were aggressive and violent and hostile and all this other stuff, there's not a single video or a picture in this 100 photo gallery of this that shows anything other than professional and proud, patriotic, and in some cases, parents standing up for the rights of children, those under 18, who shouldn't and can't make conscientious decisions about the adult material that they're exposed to, that these groomers and pedophiles are putting children through. So good on you, Proud Boys. Keep it up in North Carolina. And everybody else out there, if you're a concerned citizen or a parent or even a classical liberal who is like, you know what? Yeah, this behavior is unsatisfactory. Do something. Get into the fight. I'm begging you. You need to get into the fight, because if you don't, it's going to get worse, and that creep is going to set in. And next thing you know, this is going to escalate to something that is just going to require other sorts of intervention. So, moving on to our next piece of news. And kind of it kind of goes on to the Proud Boys things. Do you know how many drag queen or drag X events there are in North Carolina in December, and just this month? And I'm not even including the ones that have already occurred, because we're halfway through the month. There's over 20 plus events listed on Eventbrite for drag. Facebook has plenty of its own. There is an attack, an infection, an insidious operation going on in North Carolina and across the nation, of course, but in North Carolina specifically, because that's what I care about and that's where we're at, to program, groom, recruit, exploit, and destroy your child's trajectory, soul, and nature. And you got to get in the fight, guys. I know I've been repeating this, get in the fight and do something, but you got to. So let's move on to some kind of broader national level politics. We've got Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. And if you haven't seen that video, you could check them out at Infowars.com or Band.video, or we are also hosting their video on our website at the Federalist Press. And I believe it's one of the featured stories on the homepage. But you got to watch this video, because it's really interesting the way that it plays out and how the narratives surrounding Hitler and free speech and Kanye West and Nick and the conservative movement and the differentiations between conservatives and Christians and boomers and Republicans and all of it. The lines were kind of really drawn in the sand. And Nick Fuentes does a really good job of explaining the fact that it is possible to hold two beliefs simultaneously. Case in point, you could admire qualities about a man and admonish the man. And that is one of the most important things I think that Nick and Kanye are doing, is that they are breaking people's cognitive dissonance around free speech, around the contextual prisons, so to speak, that we as Americans have been put in, and we don't even know that we've been put in these prisons of context around our mind that keeps us from thinking, not even just saying, but from thinking these sort of thoughts. It's a programmatic delineation of our free speech that has infected the mind. And they are doing a great job of breaking that programming off of you and me and everybody else who's listening, especially Republicans, especially the right in this nation. And it's so interesting to watch people's reactions where, they condemn Nick because they don't think he's a strong enough Christian, or people jump on Alex because he is talking about Bilderberg and these global cabals. But what I find fascinating and interesting is I believe that Nick and Alex Jones are actually talking about the same entity, and that entity is the evil that exists in this world. Satan and the demons, the fallen angels that exist in this world, that is part of our world, but we have the spiritual warfare and the warfare of the flesh. Well, this is going on right now, concurrently, all the time, over you, me, everybody, and everything. And this is the ultimate thing that both of these individuals are talking about. Whether you get there through Zionist, Marxist, Jewish pathways, or you get through it through secular families, cabals, financials, and constructs of man. Either way that you're getting to it, you're getting to the same conclusion. And we really, really, really need to focus less on the infighting that, oh, well, you can't talk about Hitler like that, or, oh, well, you're not as evolved on this thought process, to really turning to what I believe is the right enemy, and that's God's enemy, God, the one true God. And whether his enemies are Jews who have fallen off the path via secular sects through Zionism and through the rebuking of Jesus Christ and the continuation of not believing in Jesus Christ, as well as the persecution of Christians because of the control and power that they influence and the various doctrines that they follow. Or we're talking about the Bilderbergs and the other organizations and families and entities who are part of the New World Order and part of WEF and part of everything that's going on, who are globalists, who are doing all these things to push us into Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2049 and Agenda 50 and all this other jazz. So we have to turn our hearts to God and ask him who his enemy is. We are to love our enemies. We are to love everybody. But at the same time, we need to know who we're dealing with and what weapons, tactics, techniques, training, methods that they're using against us to subvert Christians, to subvert conservatives, to subvert the body of Christ, the ecclesial body of Christ, the assembly of the called out God. And that's what's really important as we navigate these issues, because there's a lot to unpack here. And your cognitive dissonance is probably telling you right now that this guy's crazy. What is he talking about? He can't be, you can't talk about the Jews like this. You can't talk about like this type of information without being an anti-Semite. But I want you to think about your programming, and you have it. Have you reached it though? Have you really tapped into this and reached your programming and touched it and said, you know what? What I can't talk about is what controls me. And I need to start digging into this. And instead of dismissing it outright, let's start getting educated, because that's where we're at. We're not educated on any of these subjects. Our society at large has been put into stirrups and told to consume and reproduce and not focus on the things that are important, like God and the proper way to live and the proper way to have a family and the proper way to take care of things. And of course, I'm a hypocrite and I talk about all these things like I've never done them, and I have, and I've done way more than probably anybody could ever imagine. But I do know that God is redemptive and he does save and he does provide relief. And you can get the relief. I've gotten the relief. I get the relief constantly. It's called repentance. And when you do it, it feels great. You move on with your life and you don't look back and you keep your eyes focused on God. But this is an important subject, guys, because our nation has not done that. And we are feeling the burn right now because of this. And we've got a lot of things that we've got to fix and get right. And it starts with your heart position, and then we work on things like our family units, and then our communities, and then our states, and then our nation. And that's how we're going to rebuild this. But getting into this, getting back to Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes, it's a good video. You got to watch it. And I know that Ye has been breaking the internet. Kanye West has broken the internet, and he's an entertainer first, guys. Remember this. He is an entertainer. He might be a Christian, he might be a conservative, but he's an entertainer as well. And what you just watched was entertainment focused on culture, focused on theology, focused on politics. He attacked many mountains out of the 7 Mountain Mandate there. But Nick Fuentes really kind of, and that psychological programming that I'm telling you about, watch it in Alex Jones' eyes. If you watch the video, watch the entire video. There are moments where you can see Alex Jones's programming, his circuitry trip. It's this like blank stare. Nick will say something and Alex will be like, it's that program going, no, get back on the narrative. If you ever feel it, and I'm sure some of you have, but if you've ever felt that before, that is something that you have been programmed on and you got to fix it. Excuse me, guys. So it was a good show. You got to watch it. Again, you can find that on thefederalistpress.org. It is probably on the features page. Watch the video. It's a great video. Think about your programming. Think about the things you can't talk about. Think about the things that are controlling us subconsciously, consciously, and what that could mean for you in some of the things that I talk about, that Hussein Hill from the Narrative Assassin talks about, that Nick talks about, that Yi talks about, that many other people are talking about, but you might not get on board yet or on board with yet because your programming is getting in the way. And I think and I'm going to challenge a little bit of your programming now. If you're not a Christian, what are you? If you're not a Christian, what are you? And if you're not a Christian, does God keep you the same way? And do you get to go to heaven? Do you get to be with God when you die if you're not a Christian? And apply that to the Jews. That right there should be one of the most glaring focal points. Yes, Jewish people are awesome, just like so many other people are awesome. Polish people are awesome, right? I love Mexican food. Mexicans are awesome. But if you're Mexican and you're not Christian, are you being kept? Where are you going? If you're Polish and you're not Christian, are you being kept? Where are you going? If you're Jewish and you don't believe in Christ, where do you go no matter how awesome you are or how much control you have in this universe, in this world? Start there. Start digging your way out. All right, moving on. We want to talk about Operation Bluebird, and that is a term that I am coining for the CIA, the FBI, the DEA, the NSA, the 27 three-letter alphabet boy agencies that are being used by our government, the secular God, to infiltrate, penetrate, destroy, collect evidence, and subvert our elections and our minds through social media. It's called Operation Bluebird in reference to the origination of all of this, which is Operation Mockingbird. And if you don't know what Operation Mockingbird is, you need to go Google it. It's a quick Google search. You will find out all about how our government got in bed with the media in Hollywood to subvert us and control narratives and push agendas and silence media and change things to get us to behave in certain behavioral patterns and rational ways that they wanted. So, with that being said, because of Elon Musk dumping all of the Twitter files, and there's been numerous since the first one, I'm dubbing the Twitter portion of this Operation Bluebird. And in Operation Bluebird, we are seeing a tremendous amount of evidence surrounding the anecdotal evidence that we had up until the point that Elon Musk turned on the faucet. And this includes subversion from the CIA, the FBI, former CIA and former FBI employees, the internal attack on conservatives via throttling and indexing and creating lists and everything that we thought was going on, and it took a billionaire to unravel the veil behind Twitter so we could get a peek at Oz. And Oz is disgusting. We have a bunch of secular individuals with a ungodly worldview who have been in control of a social media governmental front intelligence gathering operation and human intelligence operation and counterintelligence operation against the general public of this nation. And it's disgusting, guys. It's absolutely disgusting. So getting back to the preparedness, because there's a lot to unravel here about Operation Bluebird. Getting back to the preparedness. Are you prepared digitally for what's coming? We talk about being prepared for your house, right? If the electricity goes off, what do? Boom, there's 14 things. But what happens if you're doxxed? What happens if you're hacked? What happens if you're locked out of your technology platforms and ransomed? What happens, or do you have a plan in place in the event that you die and your social media is out there and nobody has access to it, or nobody has access to your passwords, or nobody has access to your cell phone because you have 13 different codes on it and biometrics? Are you prepared for all of this? And then on top of that, how are you protecting your digital identity? Because in today's world, your digital identity is actually more valuable than your physical identity. And if you're not protecting it, folks, you're wrong. If you're not using VPNs, if you're not using technology to at least try to hide your information, hide your location, and protect the little scarce digital identity you have left, you're wrong. You are a fish in a barrel. You are out there alone by yourself, and one is none, and you are going to get eaten up and taken advantage of. So I recommend a lot of different things when it comes to this, but just very quickly, you need to get onto a secure email platform like ProtonMail. You need to get a VPN for every single device you own, including your router. Get a VPN that helps your router. There's a lot of technical jargon behind that. I'm not going to get into it, but find routers that have built-in VPNs and firewalls and things like that. Install them on your computers, every single computer you have, on your phones. If it has a Wi-Fi connection, folks, you're in danger. Even if it has just Bluetooth, you're in danger. But let's talk about just the things that are powered on. You have probably a Nest or a Ring doorbell service. You have computers, you have laptops, desktops, cell phones. Let's say that there's 3 people in your house. You probably have 15 or 20 things, smart TVs hooked up to that internet. Every single one of those is an access point to you. It's an access point to your digital identity. It's an access point to digital trafficking of your information. And you got to stop it. Put the lid on it, or you are going to be digital trafficked and continue to be digital trafficked. And case in point, the government just voted to get rid of TikTok off of governmental equipment. Why did they do that? Because TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them, all of Twitter, all of these social media platforms are human intelligence fronts, human intelligence operations for our government against the people. What I'd really like to see from Elon Musk, what Elon Musk should really become transparent on, is what percentage of his company was funded by the government via congressional or open source procurement or black money. What percentage of the money came from the government in any of those categories or more? And what percentage of communications were trafficked through the governments, the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, the DEA, et cetera's servers, systems, or had access to the Twitter servers and systems? Because that's what I really want to know. We all know that Twitter was a home for human trafficking. Nobody did anything about it until Elon got in charge, which, in my opinion, means that they're just as guilty of human trafficking because they knew about it and didn't do anything about it. That's complicit. That's being complicit, and you're guilty. And if that's true, what else is true, and what they were allowing on their platform, and who they're allowing to do on what platform? We have people inside Facebook right now who are liberal activists, Antifa, etc., and they are giving information away to other Antifa cells, other Antifa members, liberals, John Brown gun clubs, on these conservatives, Christians, Proud Boys, anybody who's against their agenda. These people in these organizations are taking your geo data, your information, your families. If you've ever downloaded my information from Facebook and you get that massive report, well, guess what? That is a perfect baseball card in the human intelligence sector. So you give that over to your ground intel guy, let's say in Texas at a Proud Boy event, a guy like Archer or whatever, Anthony takes all these pictures. They got people on the inside of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram who are doing matches and going, yep. They throw it up in the facial matching algorithms and AI, and bada bing, bada boom. They've got entire human networks generated on you. And you're sitting at home eating freaking chips, not exercising, not working out, not training, not learning, not fighting for anything. And these guys have been escalating what they're doing against you and us in this nation. They're training a lot. These guys are getting good at shooting, moving, and communicating. They're also getting good at plugging holes and stopping wounds. They're also getting really good at human intelligence. And what are you doing? Nothing. You got to get in the fight, guys. And Operation Bluebird is a front for all of this. So, Elon, what percentage of Twitter has been used in these capacities? What percentage of Twitter, and not only by just insiders leaking information out, but by our government against us? That's what I want to know. And so that's why we call it Operation Bluebird, because the bird that you see in Twitter is like a blue robin, a blue egg robin. So hence Operation Bluebird. And again, guys, all of this stuff that I'm talking about is in the show notes for this show today. Just head over to thefederalistpress.org, type in the search bar show notes. You'll see today's date, 12/15/2022. You can look up all the links for the sources, because that's important for you guys to go digging and do your own research. You can listen to me and think I'm full of crap, but if you go and do your own research, it'll push past your cognitive dissonance. It'll break your programming, and you get to see with your own eyes what I'm talking about. Now, let's move on to, I guess, the last thing that we're going to talk about today, which is that the Federalist Press is going to be hosting on December 28th a live stream against abortion in North Carolina. It is called the One Voice for the Voiceless. The website to get you there is onevoiceforthevoiceless.org. That's onevoiceforthevoiceless.org, all spelled out, no letter 4, it's FOR, onevoiceforthevoiceless.org. You can find out more information on all of our social medias about One Voice for the Voiceless. But basically what this is, guys, is we are holding a virtual vigil about abortion in North Carolina and how we got to turn the screws politically and theologically on North Carolina to get the individuals that are in our state Congress and state Senate to stop pussyfooting around and actually execute an abolitionist bill instead of doing this pandering, half-assed, well, we're going to allow abortion up to 15 weeks, 20 weeks, whatever it is that they're doing. That's got to end. We have to absolutely end all abortion. And even in the cases of, to save the life of the mother, no, God calls us to sacrifice for our children. And if there's a chance that that child can be born, we got to give that child a chance. And I know that's harsh, and I know it's hitting your programming nodes, and I know your circuits are tweaking, but you got to look this up, get informed, get educated. You probably read your Bible. You're probably a super informed Christian. And if you're not Christian, you're probably a super informed secularist. There are tons of atheists who know the Bible better than Christians. There's tons of Catholics who don't know anything about Catholicism or the Bible. You get what I'm saying? You have to do more than read. You have to let the Holy Spirit guide you and ask him. Ask God to lead you to the conclusion that I believe if you do, you will end up with abolition. And we've got to get there. So that's what we're doing. We're hosting a vigil on December 28th, 3 to 9 p.m., One Voice for the Voiceless. We're going to be doing a live stream that entire time. That's 6 hours. We're going live. What that means, though, is that we're going to be doing chunks. We'll probably have a 2-hour segment that we roll 3 times. And we're going to have some really cool special guests, some live interviews that we'll do on the show, the live stream, as well as some call to actions and talk about the theology and the politics and the culture of abortion and how these things are always kind of in different key positions. So you can never really thread the needle. And that's what we have to do. We have to thread the needle between culture, theology, and politics. And we're going to talk about all that. We'll get into it. It's going to be a great show. So please head over to onevoiceforthevoiceless.org, bookmark it, set a calendar event for December 28th, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Federalist Press is going to be hosting it. It's going to be a great show. We really look forward to all of our guests and the stuff that we're going to be doing. And again, the whole reason we're doing this is we are going to be the tip of the spear in 2023 with our state legislatures, both in the Senate and the House. If you do not support abolition, we're going to hold you to it. We're going to put your feet in the fire, and you're going to see us, and you're going to see more of us, and you're going to see our shining faces, and we're going to help educate and enlighten and bring you ultimately to where God needs us to be. And I can't wait. It's going to be a great show. So just to kind of recap this show, guys, thank you for watching. We talked about a lot of different stuff, Operation Bluebird, the cool things that Ted Budd has done, and hopefully the cooler things he's going to be doing on the Senate side in the future. We talked about the Proud Boys. We talked about being prepared both physically and digitally. This is important stuff. You've got to switch over into wartime mentality. If you are not a veteran, if you have never experienced war, the horrors of war, you always seek peace, but you prepare for war. And the way to do that is to become the most violent, capable individual in the room, to become the most knowledgeable person in the room, to become the most capable person in the room. You have to click in. You have to find that toggle switch from you being a pussy to getting in the fight. And I don't care if you got to flick it a couple times to get the electricity going and the spark in your ass, but that's what you got to do. Find your switch and flick it up. Get engaged. This right here is your safety. You gotta turn it off. Click it off. Click it off and get in the fight. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I'm Matt Dula with the Federalist Press, and I appreciate you for watching. We're going to be trying to do these every Thursday night at 6 p.m. going live. So please set your calendars. You can find us at thefederalistpress.org. We're on every major platform. We are live streaming to Twitch, which will probably get kicked off of, but it's good to piss people off. We are live streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, our website. We'll be archiving this show on our website here shortly. So if you missed this one or any other ones, you can always go to thefederalistpress.com or .org.com as well. And then under TFP live stream, there's a drop down that says TFP shows. You can go to that and watch all of our archived TFP live streams. We appreciate your time. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. I know I've burnt up 45 minutes, and I know you've got better things to be doing. But thanks for giving us a listen. And look, we are looking for a couple of things. We're looking for tips. If you live in North Carolina and you're a Christian conservative and you know something's going on, you need to say something, and we love to hear what you've got to say. So get us your tips. The email to send your tips to is the Federalist Press at protonmail.me. That's .me. MikeEcho.me. The Federalist Press at proton.me. No Proton Mail. It's the Federalist Press at proton.me. So send us your tips. Just like Project Veritas, we want your tips. We're going to investigate. We're going to dig it up. We're going to mull it out. We're going to figure it out. And we're going to root into it. And then we will report back to you on our live streams or other shows or however else we disseminate it. If you haven't, please smash that like button, smash that subscribe, give us a rumble, sign into these platforms, follow us, hit those bells. Get in the game through your education. Allow us to be your North Carolina conservative Christian intelligence source of what's going on. And nothing would make us prouder. We really appreciate that. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to our newsletter. I'm not going to be like everybody else and say I'm not going to spam you, because everybody just thinks that email is spam in general. So yes, I'm going to spam you. I'm going to send you emails if you sign up for the newsletter, but they're going to be pretty informative. They either tell you about the new articles that are dropping or the new shows that are dropping or where you can find information, show notes. And if you feel so inclined, please visit purebloodpatriotusa.com. Pure Blood Patriot USA is a sponsor of the Federalist Press. It is a company that I own. It's a lifestyle clothing company. I'm wearing one of the shirts right now. This is a really cool shirt, guys, because this shirt has, I know you can't see it. Head over to the website. You can see it. This is a seal that says rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. And if you don't know that, that seal is actually commissioned by one of the really cool founders, Benjamin Franklin, to be submitted as one of the seals for the government instead of the all-seeing Illuminati eye, right? That was going to be one of them. But of course, that's not how it worked out. So go check it out. We also have a new shirt that just dropped, which is our motto shirt, America First, Kingdom Always. We are America First, Christian nationalists, Christian conservatives. I love this country. I didn't go to Afghanistan and bleed and lose people and basically protect drugs for all three-letter agencies and then come back here and hate this country. I love this country. There's bad people in this country doing bad things, but I freaking love this country, and I would kill anyone for this country. I'll do it all over again. The body count's high, guys, and I make it even higher because I love this country. This country is the only country I've ever been to in the entire world where I get to say these things and do these things and enjoy my life and have the freedoms and comforts of everything that I enjoy. And I love this country and I'd do anything for it. So that's why we're America First. But the kingdom comes first always. So America First, Kingdom Always. That t-shirt is out now on purebloodpatriotusa.com. Go check it out. We have tons of different swag. We've got all sorts of cool stickers, and we have an actual flag, a banner. I'm sure you've seen it if you watched The Narrative Assassin. We don't make really any money with this, guys. All of that money goes back into making sure that the Federalist Press, actually, the lights stay on. If you've never had to set up something like this from the ground up, it costs thousands of dollars a year to do this. And that gets expensive and annoying. And every single thing you buy from Pure Blood Patriots is going to go right back into the TFP to make this even better for you guys. And hey, you get to rep some cool gear while you're out there. You got to be proud of who you are. You have to be proud of your identity in Christ. You have to be proud to be an American. And I don't care what color, creed, nationality, even if you're not a Christian, you need to be proud to be an American. So grab some gear, become a Pure Blood Patriot, subscribe to the Federalist Press. We want to see you guys again next Thursday. With that being said, thanks for watching. America First, Kingdom Always.